Hello, Movie Crusaders, and welcome to our latest episode. My name is Sean Wasserkrug, and today we're going to be reviewing Barbie. If you had told me a year ago that this is a movie that I would have not only watched, but actually was a little excited to watch, I would have laughed in your face. I definitely grew up in a household where I was the younger brother. Barbies were definitely around my house quite a bit, but it was almost like most young boys. At disdain of Barbie. No one wants to play with a Barbie when they were a kid. At least not boys anyway. I was more towards G.I. Joes, Transformers, and pro wrestling figures. But Barbie was something that has been around, and for the foreseeable future, especially after this, will always be around. And a movie like this, it's very much. The best way to chalk this up is it's a lot like the Lego Movie in a sense, where it's like, why would I want to go see a Lego movie? This is clearly directed towards kids. It's loud. It's obnoxious. But this movie was directed by Greta Gerwig, who's a more of a kind of a teenager, adult director. The cast is really what makes you want to see this all the way through. It's got a phenomenal cast of cameos of playing, different Kens and Barbies all the way throughout. But it was the unique trailers that really kind of made me want to take notice of this and really want to give this a shot. No, even though I did do it, no, I'm not one of these people who was like, Barbieheimer, let's do this whole stupid meme thing that everyone wanted to go see. But I did watch Barbie and Oppenheimer back to back, mainly because I just had to get them both watched for the channel. But Barbie was the first one I saw. And like I said, Greta Gerwig, she's a solid director. I think she's a little overrated, much like Christopher Nolan to a certain respect. But I think for someone who's looking to do something of a Barbie kind of film that's a little bit different, and not trying to just do the random basic Barbie stuff and try to add a little bit more of a layer to the film, I think Greta Gerwig is one of the better options they had here, especially when you star someone like Margot Robbie, who is well liked by everyone out there, whether it's for Harley Quinn or her other roles. You also got Ryan Gosling, who I would have thought would have been a good Ken, but the trailers sold that this is coming back to the Ryan Gosling that's funny and comedic, because Ryan Gosling is actually a really funny comedic actor, as well as many, many other people in this film. I will say, coming into this, like I said, I was more open to being excited about seeing this movie because I had heard good word of mouth, but I also feel like a lot of the word of mouth was more towards either people just straight up hating this movie for being too woke, or for people who just really wanted this to be really, really popular because of the meme. So I really went in with solid expectations, but I wasn't ready to be blown away or underwhelmed by any means. The main plot of Barbie is that Barbie suffers a crisis that leads her to question her world and her existence. I know it's pretty straightforward, but that's basically what the main plot of this movie is. And I will say, much like Lego Movie, and this is probably going to be the last part where I actually, try to give similarities to the Lego Movie for it, is that the first 10, maybe 15 minutes when they're in Barbie Land and the world is kind of perfect the way it is very obnoxious. It's funny to a point, but that funniness wears off really, really fast for me. It's unique in terms of how they set up the world and how they make everything look. In terms of visuals of how this movie looks great for what it does. It makes you feel like you are living in a Barbie world, pun intended. And just the way the Barbies interact and live and how they eat and drink and get ready in the morning, all this kind of stuff. And the way that they describe it as like, Barbies don't go down the stairs. When you play with a Barbie just kind of floats off the building. And I liked little things like that. I liked the uniqueness of the Barbie land in those first 10-15 minutes, even if it kind of does get a little obnoxious after a while. It isn't until we finally get into the crisis that Barbie, the Margot Robbie Barbie, who's I think God, I'm blanking on her name. She's stereotypical Barbie. That's who she is. Which is, we have many, many Barbies in this world. You got President Barbie played by Issa Rae, who's really solid. You've got, I'm not going to remember each exact Barbie, but you got Weird Barbie played by Kate McKinnon. Alexandra Shipp, who we love on the channel, she's a Barbie in here. You got Emma McKay, she's another Barbie. You got Sharon Rooney, who's another Barbie. They're all different versions of Barbie, all called Barbie. But Margot Robbie is stereotypical Barbie, which is when you think of a Barbie, Margot Robbie is the one that you think of, not the Dr. Barbie, Lawyer Barbie, or anything like that. But when she starts to have these moments or these thoughts of death, and she starts to not act like a Barbie should, she realizes that she needs to go to the human world to basically find the kid who's playing with her to make her feel this way and make her feel better or fix her. And that's the journey that we go on. You also have, like I said, Ryan Gosling's Ken, and I also want to shout out these two other Kens. You got Simu Liu, who many people know from Shang-Chi as Ken's rival, Ken. And then you also got Kingsley Ben-Adir, who many people, I know him from One Night in Miami. He was a phenomenal Malcolm X in that film. But he's also currently on MCU's Secret Invasion. And he's like the best friend to Ryan Gosling's Ken. They're all really solid in their roles. And I also want to give a special shout out as probably my favorite character in this movie. As much as I love Margot Robbie's Barbie and Ryan Gosling's Ken, it was Michael Cera's Alan, who literally is what saves this movie for me so many times, because Alan is so misutilized. It's Alan. There's only one Alan. There's not 1,000 Alans out there in Barbie Land. There's just the one Alan, and Michael Cera plays this role literally to perfection. Every moment he's on screen, I loved it. He's the funniest character. He's just the Alan character. I love the Alan character so damn much. Like I said, the movie itself, when we get Barbie and Ken in the real world, you're going to run through the same kind of jokes, the fish out of water kind of storylines. And it's fine for what it is, but I did feel like it was kind of, spinning its wheels. It isn't until we meet the human characters of the story, which there's so many Barbies on here and trying to find their character names. You got America Ferrera's Gloria and Ariana Greenblatt's Sasha, two actresses that I actually really, really enjoy. America Ferrera, I've been waiting to do a big movie that wasn't How to Train Your Dragon, and to give her kind of the push she needed. She's great on TV. I loved her in Superstore and stuff like that, but I really wanted to see America Ferrera really kind of have a front and center kind of role. And Ariana Greenblatt, I've been talking her praises ever since I saw her as young Gamora in the Avengers movies. She also had a small part in The Heights, and she was also in this year's 65, where I was really hoping that movie was going to be a lot better than what it was. They're basically a mother-daughter relationship. Obviously, Sasha's hitting that age where she's Miss Doom and Gloom, and Gloria's trying to, latch onto her, like a mom does. But she also has her darkness as well, and it's those two that play with this version of Margot Robbie's Barbie that is causing Margot Robbie's Barbie to feel this way. When we add those characters, and they start to interact with Margot Robbie's Barbie, is really, to me, when the movie really starts to hit its sweet spot. I think the dilemma of the characters and everything that's happening once we get to that point is really what makes Barbie a great film. That's when the stakes are raised. That's when we get some actual good character development instead of, I'm Barbie and I want to be perfect and I don't like feeling this way kind of storyline, and to an actual oh, okay, we're actually starting to add some actual real life character development to Margot Robbie's Barbie as well as other Barbies that they interact with throughout. And I think actually America Ferrera, she's got this one scene in the middle of the movie or near the third act. She knocks this scene out of the park. It's actually probably one of my favorite performances I've seen her do in this scene alone. Ariana Greenblatt, I think, does a solid job as Sasha. It makes me want to see her more in other things, which I've always want to see her in more other things. But most of her roles are her not speaking, and I think she's actually really well done in terms of her acting and delivery of lines, and I really want to see her do more. But it's once we get into the actual crux of the storyline where there's a dilemma and stuff to be fixed and all this, that I really think everyone, not just Ariana Greenblatt, America Ferrera, but also Michael Cera and Margot Robbie, and definitely Ryan Gosling's characters all elevate to a better standard. Even Alexandra Shipp and the rest of the Barbies, I think all of them really just up their game once we start to get into that second act of the story. I think in terms of Margot Robbie, I think she does a great job playing this Barbie archetype. Whether I liked how the movie was going for her character at a certain time because she's having to play this role, I think Margot Robbie actually does a fantastic job of playing this Barbie all the way through. While she's going through all these emotions and going through all these layers of character development for her character, from just being like I said, the Barbie that everyone knows and the Barbie everyone thinks about and having a perfect day, everyday kind of thing, to all of a sudden not feeling like a Barbie anymore and feeling more how like a human being feels. I think Margot Robbie runs through the gamut of these character, traits, and I think she does a fantastic job doing that all the way through to the end of the film. So actually, for what she has to go through in this film, I think Margot Robbie knocks it out of the park playing this Barbie version. Ken, played by Ryan Gosling, it's more of a comedic, but there's so many more layers to his character based off of how he is treated, or how all the Kens are treated in the first act of this film. And it isn't until we get to the crux of the middle of the second act, when there's character changes throughout, that you start to see more of a layer to Ken, and more of a layer to it that if you're not watching the movie and you're not paying attention to what's been going on previously, you can just chalk it up as a stereotypical version of this. I'm saying this very base loosely because I don't want to spoil anything, but if you're paying attention to how his character is being treated throughout the film, this version of Ken is actually really well written, and Gosling does a great job with it. And I think their two performances, as well as with Ferreira's and Greenblatt's, are all incredibly solid throughout. You also got Will Ferrell as the Mattel CEO. It's Will Ferrell being Will Ferrell. He sometimes goes a little too far with his Will Ferrell stuff. There's some jokes that are intended just to be silly, but it's just Will Ferrell going full Will Ferrell, and they don't hit. But then there are other jokes that work, and like I said, that's with Will Ferrell. If it's not his movie and he is a supporting character like he is in this film, sometimes he can overtake a film and it's a very annoying, or sometimes he hits that sweet spot where his comedy fits in perfectly. I do feel like his does fit more on the trying to overtake the film for his own instead of helping support the characters that are the main characters in the film. But when his jokes do hit, they hit very well. Most of them don't, though. I think, like I said, the world of Barbie looks great. There is a lot of meaning, and there's a lot of very beat you over the head with certain storyline elements of this film that some work well, others feel a little pretentious and a little like, okay, we get it kind of thing. And I'm not going to go over what it is because I'm trying to keep this as bare bones as I can in terms of spoilers. It's funny, but it's also like, okay, we get it. Men are bad to a certain point if you let them, go too far in certain respects. But it makes sense to a certain point, but also if you're paying attention to how the actual beginning of the film goes, they're doing the same. The Barbies are doing the same thing. So it kind of balances itself out, even though they don't really come out and say that the Barbies are doing that, which is kind of a little misleading and kind of oh, you're not calling it out for the women, but you're only calling out for the men kind of thing. But it is written very well by Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach, who also is writing for this. I do feel the ending really kind of goes kind of up its own ass a little bit at the end. It does this thing with Margot Robbie's character at the very end of the film with another character that just is so, like I said, pretentiously like over the top. Like, okay, this is still a movie about Barbie, and they go this one route with it, and it ends in a needle drop at the end of the movie that maybe just go, I got questions. No, that doesn't work, and that's kind of stupid. And yes, it's a joke, and I know I should let it go because it's a joke, but it just completely just makes the whole world like, what the hell's going on kind of thing. And I feel like I feel like they had a good rhythm, they had a good way to end it, and it was going into the finish line, and then it decided, instead of just running through the finish line and winning the race, I want to do a backflip, corkscrew, moonsault to make it look really, really cool, and I landed on my face. And so I feel like it does fumble at the finish line. It doesn't ruin the film by any means, but it definitely made me eye roll immensely right when the film ended. But overall, when Barbie works, I think actually Barbie's a really, really solid film. It's not one of the best films of the year. I think visually it looks fantastic. I think most of the cast is actually really good in terms of Robbie, Gosling, Issa Rae, Kate McKinnon, Alexander Shipp, McKay, Lou, Michael Cera. Also, like I said, Ferreira and Greenblatt are great as well. And also Kingsley Ben-Adir. I think all of them are great. I think Barbie Land looks visually stimulating for what it is. I think they actually knock it out of the park in terms of visually how a Barbie world would work. The music of this, I think there are certain songs that work really well, and then there are other songs that I'm not a big fan of. I also did not like the new rendition of Barbie World. I don't think anyone will like that one over the original Barbie World song. But overall, at the end of the day, I think Barbie is a solid film. goes a little too far, trying to be a little too artsy and pretentious in terms of a certain storyline element. But at the end of the day, I think it's a solid film. I think most people who check it out are going to enjoy it. I think they're going to have fun with it. I am definitely not the demographic for this movie. I think it's definitely more of a daughter-mother film. So if you are a daughter or mother, you guys should check this movie out. I think it's going to hit all the right notes, all the right beats for you. For us guys, it's still funny. I think you guys are still gonna have a fun time with it. Like I said, it might run a little like, okay, why the hell am I still watching this movie after 15 minutes? But once you get to the crux of the story, I think you guys are gonna enjoy the story for the most part all the way through, even though it gets a little over the top near the end. But I'm gonna give Barbie I believe I gave it a 71%. 71%. Like I said, solid film overall. Definitely not the best movie out of this weekend based off the 3 movies that came out, but still a unique and solid swing for Greta Gerwig and everyone involved. I think a lot of these people did a great job overall. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you guys did, go into that like, share, and subscribe button to the channel so you guys stay up to date with all the latest videos pop up on the Movie Crusaders. And of course, we're going to follow some of the social media outlets you see below. Out right now, we got a review for They Clone Tyrone. We also got a review for Oppenheimer coming out here very, very shortly, so be on the lookout for that, as well as last week's Weekly Crusaders, where Brian Michaelson and myself talked about 2 movies that came out during movie history last week. And we also have this week's episode coming out later in the week also. This week also, we've got Haunted Mansion coming out, so there'll be a review for that. But until next time, in case we don't see you, go watch the movies and go have some fun.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.